So 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2. That's me. This is going to be you. So I'll get you to give me kind of a level as well.
1 2 and 3.
Yeah, no, that looks good, man. That looks good. Off you go.
Hi, my name's Dylan. I'm doing Andrew Looby for TippFM for a little bit of Tipp. How do you feel happy in the mornings?
How do I feel happy in the morning? It's a lie. It's not true. I'm not happy. I'm sad. And I pretend I'm happy. No, listen, you get used to the early mornings.
Yeah.
And it's like any job that you do. Even if you're a little bit tired, you just kind of do your best. And I mean, I'm not always happy, but when that red light comes on and the microphone is open, you're just kind of... Hey, listen, man, it's a bit of a show.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a show. You kind of turn it on. You turn it on and turn it off.
How many texts do you get?
How many texts do I get? It really depends on what's happening in the mornings. If we're giving away a prize, you'll get a lot more texts, obviously. If you're giving away a really, really good prize, you could get a couple of hundred texts. A lot of people will text for stuff like holidays and weekends away and that kind of thing. But you'll find that you'll get far more texts when you're giving something away. Generally, you will get people that will text you and interact with you and chat with you about different things. But certainly a lot more texts when there's giveaways.
Say if people say bad words, you have to stop them?
You have to stop them, yeah. Well, if you're recording something, you'll edit it, so you'll take that out of it. Generally, people are very good, and anybody that would use a bad word, to be fair, it wouldn't be deliberate. But somebody can make a little slip, and it can happen from time to time. There's a little button in which we call it a dump button in the studio. So what you're doing is, I don't know the easiest way to explain this, but there's a slight delay of about 7 seconds or something. Especially if Fran is interviewing somebody on Tipp Today and they say something that they shouldn't. Not only is he watching out for curse words, but something that might be liable or end up in the courts or something that somebody... Fran has about 7 seconds to decide if this is suitable to go out in air or not. So what he's doing is delayed by about 7 seconds. By the time you hear it, he's done it 7 seconds previous. He hits the dump button and it actually dumps out that section of 7 seconds.
Say if you talking on the air and say if you're going downstairs to get coffee, you have to press a special button or what?
Well, there's no special button. Okay, we use a system called RCS. So there is a button that you can press that everything will just play out automatically. It kind of chains up all the songs and the jingles and the ads and all that. Generally, I suppose what would happen with a music program, you would have an opportunity where there's a song playing, you know there's a little jingle thing coming up next, and then you know there's another song. So, I mean, if a song is averaging between 3.5 or 4 minutes, which they do, it gives you about an 8-minute window to fly down and get a cup of coffee or something like that. What we record into is Adobe Audition. You can edit on that, and then you can save that like you would on anything in your computer, pop that into RCS, and you can just play that out anytime you want.
How do you decide to make good music?
How do I decide to play good music?
Yeah.
Now, the playing of the music is a very interesting one because a lot of people think that you pick your own music. And now I'm going to tell you a secret that I shouldn't probably tell you. Look, very often you'll ask people about favourite songs that they'd like to hear. If you do that, you certainly can pop in their songs from time to time. We would have somebody here, it happens to be Stephen, that does the time tunnel at lunchtime, that looks after all the music. That's his job. So he decides what's going to be played on air. And it's basically playlisted. So what they mean by playlisted is I already have the songs decided for me by Stephen on the day that I come in. So I'm not really choosing the songs. But that's no real secret. I think that most people would understand that happens in radio stations. And then, of course, what you have too is you would have radio stations that are sort of targeting themselves to a certain demographic or certain type of people or age group and that. So we would probably play like a lot of the new music, and we do a lot of 70s and 80s stuff as well because of the age group that listens.
Know me about the Roadcaster. How you connect to it?
How we head out, basically, we will look for a premises, someplace to help us out with the outside broadcast, with the OB. And we'll ask them for two things. We'll ask them for electricity and we'll ask them for use of their telephone line. So we will take a telephone line to the outside broadcast, into this little piece of equipment called a tie line, and everything through the microphones and everything goes through that. Now, that was always the case. There's a new tie line out, which we got one recently, and you don't even need the telephone line. It's better with the telephone line, but we've got little cards in it. Do you like the card you put inside of your phone?
Yeah.
So we got one of those in it.
Say if you're in the Roadcaster,
yes.
Maybe the person who have to do the edits, like who work for Fran, they have to be in the car or where?
The people are doing the edits for Fran. Now, that would be that if Emma or Alison or somebody working on the show was out doing what they call vox pops, right? So if Fran was in Rossgrey or wherever he happens to be, or Tiptown or Care, sometimes the lads will go out and chat with people on the street, which makes for good radio. And they'll ask them things. Certainly you can sit in your car, or you can sit someplace else, or, you know, sit with an ice cream out in the street, and you can do it on your laptop. So that Adobe Audition thingamajig is available on laptop. But to be honest with you, while it kind of looks very, very easy, and certainly the Tipp today, there's a lot of work that goes into that.
I love the Nudby the Saturday show because when I come from horse riding, the whole time I tune into Tipp FM.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you like the music? What do you like about Tipp FM then?
I like the music and I like people talking.
Yeah.
And then you get this feeling when you look at Tipp FM, you say, oh yeah, from the county who you not know, but...
Well, the thing that I think about independent radio stations like ourselves, you mentioned Today FM, which of course we're all familiar with, and they're very, very good at what they do, national radio station and all that. But there's only so much that you can get from national radio, and I think that people realise, you know, that there's so much available from local radio, that they get a little bit of everything. They get the music and they get a bit of crack. But I think for local issues, nobody can cover it like Tipp FM. When it comes to stuff happening in Tipperary, we genuinely think that we're best placed to let people know what's going on.
And where can people find you online?
Okay, well, I'll tell you a couple of things. Well, first of all, tippfm.com is the website, okay? So then we have a presence on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that kind of thing. So, you know, it's a good place to go for local news and everything that's going on in the station. And we talk about giveaways and stuff that we do there as well. Pat and I, we have a bit of banter in the morning and we have a bit of crack, you know.
Yeah.
So we kind of take what...
Do
you get a laugh out of it sometimes?
Yeah. I get the jokes. Yeah.
Even the worst jokes? Because we get some terrible jokes, you know that. We decided we'd do a podcast of that. So I've only started doing that like about 6 or 7 weeks ago. Wow. So it's a little bit new for me. So there's a little bit of work in it. You kind of go back and you listen to the stuff you did and you record and you compile it, you put it together. So then we put that up online, and to finally get an answer for you, you can find a podcast on Spotify, or as they say, any place you get your podcasts.
Thank you for doing that for me.
Well, thank you, Dylan. It was absolutely my pleasure.